Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars. SoundCartel. There are some small business stories that stand out due to the owner's passion to succeed and their ability to thrive. So, how do you expand from a lottery shop on the urban fringe to owning 6 inner-city hospitality venues? From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Michael Togias owns a series of cafes and eateries in inner Melbourne, but he bases himself at the Mr Tulk Café and restaurant, which is attached to the State Library of Victoria on La Trobe Street. It's one of Melbourne's landmark CBD cafes. Michael says his recipe for success is to keep strict ratios of business costs mixed with relaxed and encouraging staff culture and a pinch of loving the job. He's explaining how he runs his businesses to Jeff Waters.
It's a 7-day-a-week CBD cafe in a prestigious location at the State Library of Victoria. So a very continental cuisine, great coffee, Melbourne experience, so you get good coffee, good food, good service, that sort of thing. So, we want people to experience Melbourne.
And it's called Mr Tulk.
Mr Tulk Café, named after the first librarian, 160 years ago, roughly. So, yeah, my older brother, so nah.
But that's not your only cafe in the CBD.
Yeah, so I've got another one in Melbourne Central called Urban Fox. That's been a bit of a struggle through COVID, so we need to make some decisions over the next few months what we do with that one. And we've got some other cafes in High Point and in Port Melbourne as well, so pretty busy.
How many in total?
So we're opening a third one at High Point. We've got one in Port Melbourne, so then Urban Fox, and then Mr Tulk at the library. And we're also running Guild Cafe up the top end at Russell Street entrance of the library as well, so we're running that one as well.
So that's 5 in total?
Yeah, and the 6th one coming up, so yeah, a lot.
So where did it all begin?
So I first got into business in 2000. I went to uni, I did 7 years uni, finished in 91.
7 years?
Yeah, I did science and engineering. Couldn't find work when we finished. That was when, we had the recession we were supposed to have with poor Keating. I found some work for a small business, and I was doing the accounts, bookkeeping, and that sort of helped me manage small business from a financial aspect, from a bookkeeping aspect. I always thought I had the skills for, selling and speaking to customers and just general selling skills, but the ability to manage in a small business. They gave me the confidence in 2000. I got into a Tatslotto news agency in South Springvale, then sold that one, bought a Tatslotto only in Keysborough. And then in 2006, my father got pretty ill and he passed away. And from there, he loved 2 things. He loved coffee and he loved the CBD. So I bought a cafe in the city in 2007, and ever since then, I've been cafes in the city. So I had Cafe Mediterranean in the Manchester Unity building, had that for about 5-6 years. And then I bought a business in the Melbourne Central called Food Inc., and then we closed that one. I bought Mr Tulk Café in 2017. So I've had 2017, and in between I've been adding a little bit here, a little bit there, Melbourne Central, High Point, Port Melbourne. But I'm based in the CBD, based in the library, Mr Tulk. That's where I spend all my time. So
yeah, do you have to travel between these cafes?
Sometimes. I try not to. I try to sort of just consult and help them with regards to, to run a good cafe, you need to keep certain basics, like you keep your ratios. So you keep your cost of sales ratio, your staffing ratios, your general bookkeeping ratios, all that sort of stuff. So, if you can keep them in line with that. So I've got business partners out at High Point. I've got a business partner in Melbourne Central. And I've got a manager out of Port Melbourne. So, and I base myself and I manage everything here at the library, Mr Tulk. So it is a challenge because they're all different landlords. Through the pandemic, it was pretty tough, accumulating debt, and each landlord treated me differently and stuff like that. So it was really tough to get through, but, we're sort of coming the other side of it now. So some businesses thrived through us, some businesses struggled. You know, so yeah, it's been an interesting journey, that's for sure.
Well, you've done okay because you're opening a new one.
Yeah, but sometimes it can also be through necessity. So, you know, like at High Point, we accrued debt right through the pandemic. So, like, we still were paying, you know, 20,000 rent for each shop. So when you're locked down for 6 months, you might only pay 20% rent because you're doing 20% turnover, but you're still, the other 40% is deferred, the other 40% is abated. So you still got to pay another 40%. So 40% of 20,000 is 8,000 per month. So when you're closed for 6 months, that's another 8,000 every month. That's 50,000. And what the GPT offered at High Point, if we open another cafe or another shop, they would abate the deferral rent. So that's why we've opened extra shops to abate the thing. Otherwise, yeah, the businesses wouldn't survive out there. You know, you'd be carrying debt, you're just paying off debt. And that's why a lot of businesses are closing down, because they're carrying the debt. And unless you grow your business, you can't absorb the debt repayment and stay profitable. So it's been pretty tough. With the library, we were pretty lucky because the library allowed us, we didn't pay rent while we were closed. So we accrued some sort of debt with regards to, you know, services and insurances and, you know, and rates and stuff like that. But we didn't have debt, you know, with regards to rental, which is the big one. So,
Do you have a business template that you work by?
yeah, so like, you know, I have a certain ratio for staffing. So we try to keep the staffing at, say, 25, 30, 35%. Cost of sales around about the same. And then our rent, we try to keep the rent at, say, you know, between 10 and 15%. So that sort of comes out to, say, about 70% roughly. Other costs maybe 5% or so. So give or take 5% for, you know, wastage and breakage and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, and that'll leave sort of about 20%. If you can make sort of, out of 20%, if you can make 10 to 15% profit, you're doing okay, you know. So that's my template, and that's what I've always tried to adhere to. It's sometimes a bit difficult with regards to wages. You know, you got penalty rates, you got, you know, escalation in wages through the pandemic. You know, there was less people wanting to work, a lot of people leaving the industry. It's been pretty tough the last couple of years. So people coming along and, you know, when other businesses are offering $40, $50 an hour to wash dishes, puts pressure on you, you know, to try and match, you know. So,
well, what, if I may ask, well, pandemic aside, how would you describe your business journey?
I've had fun. Like, I've really enjoyed it. You know, I do what makes me happy. I wake up every morning and I love what I do. I get up and it's like a dinner party every day. Like, I don't know who my guests are going to be, but I'm talking to someone about their journey in life, where they've come from, what their accent is, you know, and it's fantastic that you meet all these different people and you know, and you have fun, you know. Like, I don't consider it work, I consider it fun, you know, and that's why it doesn't tire me. Even though I would do long hours and long days, it doesn't tire me, you know, and it makes the hard work worthwhile. But yeah, like, the pandemic was tough though.
Well, it's been tough for everybody, in different ways, obviously. Well, perhaps not everybody. Of course, some people made some money out of it. Yeah. People selling masks, for instance. But what sort of advice could you give to somebody who's listening to this, who's thinking of going into cafes?
Just make sure it's what makes you happy. So if you enjoy doing that kind of work, and I've always had the motto, like, if you want something in life, you've got to work hard to get it. And you've got to work hard. Somewhere along the line, you've got to work hard. But if you're going to work hard, make sure you enjoy it as well. You know, there's no use, you know, working hard and not enjoying it as well. And if you don't enjoy people and interacting with people, you know, that's really important, you know, because you're going to meet a lot of people and you're going to talk to a lot of people and different people, and people are going to find the most silliest things to complain about. They're going to find other things to compliment you about. So you've got to be able to take everything with a grain of salt and just move on. Have good people skills, interpersonal skills, because you need to work, you know, part of a team. So it doesn't matter how good I am. Like, if I don't have a team to complement me and be able to continue what I do and the way I do things and create a culture and a sense of aura for the cafe or for whatever business you set up, it's really important, that the business is a reflection of you or your personality or the staff's personality. So when the staff feel comfortable working in it, so when you come into the cafe and, there's a sense of casualness, joviality, whatever, you can do that in, hopefully, Mr Tulk. You feel you come in, you can walk, sit inside, order whenever you want, do whatever you want, talk to strangers. It's that environment, and you've got to try and make it a reflection of your personality. I think it's really important. So.
I have noticed that about Mr Tulk, that strangers seem to talk to each other a lot.
Yeah.
It's terrific. Now, you run these businesses with your wife, Maria, and we must acknowledge her input into all of this. Yeah. How has that been? How has the marriage fared through all of this?
It's always interesting working with your partner. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. So, but if you can work together, then I think you can get through most things in life.
Where do you see your business heading? Where will you be in 10 years' time?
It's going to be interesting. I've got another 3.5 years left on my lease at Mr Tulk Café, so I'd desperately like to continue on at Mr Tulk. I live centrally. I love where it is and stuff like that. And we've improved the business 50% on what we purchased it. So, that's dramatic improvement, considering we went through 18 months of renovations and then 2+ years of COVID, so we've done extremely well. Now we're starting to get a clear run or a relative clear run, that business suits our personality, both me and Maria, the staff, they love working there and everything like that. So, I love to continue on. And we've got 2 kids, we've adopted 2 kids, and I love to set up something for them to aspire to, I don't want them to follow in my footsteps, but I would love to help them follow in my footsteps, or whatever they want to do in life, I would love to help them do that, and if they want to work in hospitality or they want to run their own business, that's fine, and they can come into any entry level or whatever, and they can start off in the business, work part-time, go to school, whatever, they could do anything, I just want to provide something for them, and who knows what life leads to.
That was restaurateur Michael Togias. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.